logging in and everything. It's back on.
Well, I've seen the photos.
I forgot how noisy.
How noisy?
Yeah. Living in Italy, it's a silence.
I'm not hearing anything.
You're not hearing me? Oh, you're not hearing the outside.
Yeah, I hear you fine.
Oh, good. So the microphone works well. And we are live once again, perhaps the last or the one before the last time of the year. I would just like, before anything, to, I've been very busy these last weeks, and I forgot to wish everyone in the United States a happy Thanksgiving Day. I had wrote to you, man, that a couple of weeks ago I forgot to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving Day. So happy Thanksgiving, almost in Christmas time.
I put you on the naughty list. Yeah.
I'll get coal for Christmas.
Coal in your stocking. Yep. Oh, I lost your sound.
Yeah, I muted myself.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very hot anyway to use a socks. So I guess my Havaiana flip flop will not get any cold this year.
You got to wear the season of the flip flop.
How you doing, man?
It's gotten a little chilly in Florida. I mean, it's the days are good. We got let's see here. Right now it's 72 degrees. The low was 51 degrees, which is like 15 degrees Celsius, I think. So
that's decent.
So right now,
it's a nice weather.
Yeah, it was. So right now the low is 23, or the high is 23, and the low is 10. So at night it gets chilly. You got to put on the long sleeves, cook up a fire.
Nice. And here today I went to register the internship, and it was 40 Celsius. I don't know how much that is. Too much math to convert it to Fahrenheit.
That's like about 100.
About 100 something.
Yeah, that's about 100. Yeah.
Exactly. So, man, talking about Thanksgiving and holidays, let's talk about Venezuela, dude. What's going on there? Why there is no invasion, nothing, no activities?
Well, I candidly don't know. All I have is my speculation. Part of it is, I think, the U.S. policy right now, rather than actually try to put troops on the ground in Venezuela, which I think would be catastrophic for the United States, is that they are trying to do one of two things. Provoke Maduro into taking action against the United States so that we would then feel fully justified to attack. I think right now there is a hesitancy to go attack Maduro and the Venezuelan military. Particularly if you attack Venezuelan military targets, and you're going to turn the military against you. And I think part of the CIA hope is that they can recruit some Venezuelan generals to move against Maduro, force him out. That's still their hope. I don't think they're having any success on that front. Therefore, they continue building up this military force off the coast of Venezuela. But it's been 4 months now, so that's like trying to pull, shoot an arrow with a bow. When you pull the string back, you get to a point of tension, and after a while, your muscle fatigue, you start shaking. They've had the thing cocked and loaded, ready to fire for 4 months, and still nothing. And part of it is, I think, despite news reports suggesting Venezuela is incompetent, inept, the size of Venezuela, it's 3 times the size of Vietnam. And we failed to defeat the Vietnamese with we had an army of over 500,000 men. Now, I'm not suggesting that Venezuela's army is as competent or um, skilled as the North Vietnamese were, but it's still a large enough force. And more importantly, Venezuela lends itself to guerrilla insurgent activity that the United States would be very hard pressed to control. And this fraud of a woman who's been, she's given a Nobel Peace Prize for doing absolutely nothing. We should call it the Obama Peace Prize because she got it for the same reason he did, doing nothing. If she's installed, I can very well see a series of attacks taking place against her security forces. So you're looking at a destabilization, which I'm not sure that necessarily serves the interests of the United States to destabilize Venezuela and create, you're going to create more refugees possibly out of that. So, the United States is talking with great belligerence. Trump has now announced he's going to make a speech tomorrow night at 9. I don't know what he's planning to announce, whether he's going to announce we're going to invade Venezuela or something to that effect. Trump has solidified his status as a total idiot. The man has, I think he's really suffering mental impairment, and I base that upon what he said about the death of Rob Reiner. Reiner was a Democrat activist, and the character he played on All in the Family years ago, before you were born, as Meathead. He became that in real life, but he was a talented movie director, producer. Some just really iconic movies. They weren't box office smashes per se, but they really were quality movies where there, A Few Good Men, when Harry Met Sally. He's just he really had a quite quite a spectrum that he covered. And so he gets, he and his wife get killed allegedly by their son, or the son's the alleged murderer. That sure looks like he did it. And instead of Trump coming out and just saying, God, this is, as much as Rob Reiner and I disagreed politically, he was still a great American. And this is a tragic death. And it's one more reminder of why we've got to stop the scourge of illegal narcotics that are flooding into the country, because the son, apparently under the influence of these drugs, killed them. And it is a terrible loss. Man, if he would have he could have taken that approach, high road, classy. Instead, Rob Reiner died because he hated me. He didn't like me. He's a victim of Trump derangement syndrome. It's like, Jesus Christ.
I saw that post.
Jesus Christ. What a damn stupid thing to say. And he's such a narcissist. It's all about him. God, I am so sorry that I voted for the man. He is on his way to becoming one of the worst presidents in American history. Just that kind of low class comment and remark. It's just, I was outraged when people on the left were celebrating the murder of Charlie Kirk, and now Trump puts himself in the same category, doing the same damn stupid thing, forgetting that he's a human being, and that Rob Reiner, whatever his flaws were as a political analyst, and as much as I disagreed with him on many of his issues, there is something that should be called human compassion, just a shred of that, and Trump has zero.
Pointed the perfect thing, just the Charlie Kirk was a thing that I guess we all, as I say here many times, I do disagree with many things he was saying, most of the things he was saying, but nonetheless, he was just speaking and debating people and giving chance to people to even humiliate him. It happens. Uh, well, yeah, he was very well prepared. Nonetheless, he was just speaking out, and this guy was not even. I don't know. I have never heard about this guy before. Well, yeah, he was a good, Hollywood
Are you
personality.
serious? Are you
But for
serious?
me, it
You never?
was not a big deal. I wasn't.
I mean, are you?
Yeah, the name is familiar, but not someone that I would, look at the face, and say, "Oh, that guy."
Huh? Yeah.
You say a few good men. I think I watched this movie. I just don't know because the Brazil always translate the title of the movies, so I get a little confused. But I remember watching this A Few Good Men. Was a
Well,
disappointment.
it was. Um, he did a number of just incredible movies. Um, so he did. One that you'll watch with your daughter, I'm sure, is uh, Princess Bride. He did the Princess Bride, which was just a terrific movie, incredibly funny. Um, but uh, he started off in television, and then um, he did directing of some TV shows like the Rockford Files. That was pretty famous. Then he was he was at that TV series All in the Family. He played basically a Serbian, I think, Stivik or a Czech, is some Slovak. Certainly didn't play a Jewish guy. But then, you know, he did a movie about called Postcards from the Edge. That was pretty highly rated. Misery was featured Kathy Bates and James Caan, as I recall.
Yeah, Misery
Great,
I know of. It's a
great,
very
great
strong
movie
movie.
with Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan called Sleepless in Seattle. Um, then he did one comedy. This is Spinal Tap. Um, he
I have
um,
seen this.
yeah, Princess
Misery, I
Bride.
always think about cooking noodles.
Yeah, so the Princess Bride came out 26 years ago in 1999. Um, he did. What else was important that I thought? Well, when Harry Met Sally, and then he did The Wolf of Wall Street, um, about a boy. That was actually a Hugh Grant movie. That was
Wolf of Wall Street, yes.
Wolf. Yeah, that had Leonardo DiCaprio in it. Um, so he had quite a career, and then A Few Good Men. Uh, that was that was an important movie. Um, so he had a broad career, and he did some really good work, and uh, just got you know for Trump to have said what he said about him is just instead of just where's the basic human sympathy, you know
What the
it's
judge said though.
unbelievable.
Yeah, I liked what the judge said though. We're just waiting now for Netanyahu to show up and say we didn't do it.
Yeah, exactly. um
Yeah, and this since you brought up the Rob Reiner assassination, it's also interesting to point out that we had another two shootings, one in Australia, which was very interesting, And the other one, where was the other one? I just saw this about.
In Syria.
Yeah,
Syria.
in Syria, exactly. And well, both of them seems to be related to ISIS or something like that. And well, in the Syria, there
Well,
were
yeah.
2 U.S. Marines that were victims, right?
No, they were. I think they were Army. They were not.
Army. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So they're 2 soldiers and their interpreter. And they claimed it was ISIS, but it was also somebody with the Syrian security force turned the guns on them and shot them. Now, again, they're papering over the fact that the United States and Britain embraced al-Jilani, now al-Shatta, who was part of ISIS, part of al-Qaeda, part of al-Nusra, the head of Hayat Tahrir Hashem. You know, so the shooting in Australia, that's really pretty curious because the radicalization of this father and son, they're Pakistanis. Got to ask the first question: how the hell did they get guns? Australia's got very, very strict gun laws. People actually had to turn their firearms in. So, they don't get their own firearms, and yet these 2 guys are running around with multiple rifles. How does that work? This, were they, some have speculated that they were actually facilitated by Israeli intelligence in order to create an incident to inflame more anger at the Palestinians, even though the Palestinians had nothing to do with this. And again, these weren't Palestinians; these are Pakistanis. But don't let
All started with P.
Yeah, don't let facts get in the way. Okay.
Nothing to see here.
Yeah.
Fred Drabbling.
Move along.
Yeah, so this is interesting also. Well, perhaps we have this situation with being a Pakistani, but perhaps there's also something related to the Pakistani-Indian, kind of relations. Although India right now it's a kind of sovereign country, it was part of the Commonwealth for a long time, just like Australia. No relation, right? I'm just going too far now, right?
Yeah. Well, this I was looking up. There is in Pakistan. There is what's called the Deobandi movement, and it says it began around Darul Uloom Deoband, which is an Islamic seminary that was founded in 1866. And it said that the founders aimed to preserve Islamic scholarship and identify under British colonial rule in religious terms. Deobandis are Sunni Muslims of the Hanafi legal school with a strong emphasis on traditional scholarship, adherence to Islamic law, and personal piety. So they're very much in line with the Wahhabis, and this kind of extremism, believes that you got to go out and kill unbelievers. That's not a central tenet of let's call it mainstream Islam, but it certainly is. It's the same thing we see on the Jewish side of the ledger. Kill Amalek, the unbelievers must be destroyed. So I don't want to lump this in with pretending that the Islamists are something different from the Jewish extremists. The extremists are extremists. In fact, frankly, you find those same kind of extremists on the Christian side as well.
Yeah, very important what you just mentioned, because I went to this point. Just wrote an excellent piece on sonar21.com, which, by the way, people remember to like, share, subscribe the video, follow Larry on sonar21.com, and also on Countercurrents. Amazing videos coming almost weekly, or perhaps even more than once a week. You just wrote a fantastic piece on Sonar 21 about Christian Zionism.
Mhm.
I would like to understand slightly better about this because we've been, since we met, basically. I had never heard about Zionism before in my life, and
Mhm.
then suddenly we started to talk and repeat this. And I am always concerned to dilute too much words.
Right.
Words become just another power word, something like that. Can we go to understand a little better about Christian Zionism, Larry?
Yeah, so it largely originated in the United States, in the 19th century. Um, it was prevalent, um, actually, it was pretty widespread within the Mormon religion and as well as, evangelical Protestantism. And it was built around the belief that, uh, God, whoever that is, depending upon what your particular belief system is, but that God promised Abraham that he would make a multitude of nations, and those who blessed him would be blessed, those who cursed him would be cursed. Well, uh, Abraham had a son, a couple of sons, and actually multiple sons, but the two big players were Jacob and Ishmael. Uh, Jacob went on and produced a son Isaac, later known as Israel. Israel had 12 sons, or I guess 13 if you count Benjamin. But then that's sort of the origin of Judaism, out of of Isaac and the story of Joseph and going to Egypt and freedom from Egypt. So that's where this promise came down. Now, within within the Old Testament, there are prophecies about the future and about the building of Zion, that Jerusalem was equated as the city of Zion. Within the Mormon theology in particular, there was the concept that they believed that Zion, the new Zion, was to be established actually in Independence, Missouri, where I grew up. Uh, um, but the evangelical Christians believed that when the state of Israel was established, that this was a fulfillment of biblical prophecy. And a lot of the sort of beginning of where it became sort of mainstream within evangelical Christianity was the Schofield Bible that was produced. It was an annotated Bible, and it basically produced this notion that all Jews, the promises of Abraham to the Jews. Now, what's fascinating is the beginning of Zionism and the immigration going to Israel uh, was actually spread, by Theodore Herzl, who was not a religious Jew. In other words, they're claiming, okay, we got this promise from God, but we really don't believe in God. Okay, how does that work? So you don't believe in the one that you're claiming you believe in? So, but this push to start returning Jews to Israel, started with some urgency in the 1890s, and then accelerated in the first uh, 30 years of the 20th century. It is, uh, again, what's fascinating is the original promises. If you go back and look at the promises given to Abraham, uh, he had eight children, three different women, so he was a horny old bastard. Um, but uh, y- the some Christians, they like to parse particular parts of the Old Testament to say, "See, God, Abraham favored he loved his son Jacob more than the others." So those promises that were to Abraham were exclusively for Jacob. Well, then you got to go back and say, okay, who actually wrote the Old Testament? And the people said, well, it was written by Moses. Yeah, right. Moses sitting up on a rock with what did he have? A Bic pen, a typewriter, or quills, and where did he get the ink? Please. When in reality, you had a bunch of people, descendants of the tribe of Judah and Benjamin, and some from the tribe of Levi. That's all that was left of what had originally been 12 tribes. The northern kingdom had basically been assimilated, wiped out. So you got what I call the leftover Jewish segment. They've been taken in captive in Babylonia by the Babylons, by the Babylonians, and they're there for well, I guess well over about 100 years. And you got scholars nothing better to do than sit around. Hey, let's write our story. And there was oral tradition. They might as also had some documents. And so they start writing what we now know as the first 5 books of the Bible, the Pentateuch. And gee, what a surprise! Guess who the star of those 5 books are? The Jews. Think about that. Jewish scholars writing and making themselves the center character, the good, the bad, but they're the ones who get the blessing. They're the ones who get to go kill the others. They wrote it. So, as I said, I learned early on at State Department. I had a very wise supervisor, and he said, "Hey, if you want to control policy, write the document. You be the one who's responsible for drafting the cable or drafting the document." Same thing applies to Holy Scripture. Those who get to write it get to sort of detail the story. So that's why the restoration of the Jews, but it doesn't, it's supposedly was for all of Abraham's seed through Jacob, but now it's just a very, very small group. Primarily, 40% of them come out of Europe, and the other 50% come out of countries through North Africa and into Iraq. For example, there's still there's a Jewish community. They still live there. The Up until about 1953, 54, there was a huge, one of the largest, oldest Jewish communities was in Iraq. And then Israel, as intelligence service, and set up a bunch of terrorist attacks in Iraq that were targeting Jews in order to encourage them to get the hell out of Iraq and go to Israel. Israel is trying to build up its population. So there actually used to be terrific relations between Iraqis and Jews, or the Arabs in Iraq and Jews. But thing of the past. So Zionism, when you boil it all down, it's like a religious. It's like communism with God added in. But you also get the added bonus that you can kill other tribes, other groups of people, simply because they are that other people. Palestinians, Amalek. There's no recognition of all of these different people are creations of God, as is stated actually in Genesis from the outset, that God created man and woman. Didn't say he created Jew and Gentile, Jew and Christian, Jew and Hindu, Chinese, and whatever. God created man, male and female.
Of the channel put a very interesting.
Does that help?
Yeah, a lot. Once I had one of the subscribers of the channel that had an interesting, how can I say it? An interesting point. Since the Old Testament was written in Babylon, the Exodus perhaps is not about Egypt but Babylon. That's interesting point to think about
Yeah,
at
well,
some point.
possibly, but actually, no, it was clearly tied to the Egyptians. That was part of their oral tradition because you've got other parts. I think the book of Nehemiah deals with the or Ezra, one of those, with the Jews leaving under the Persians took over conquered the Babylonians, and King Cyrus, I believe, is the one that freed the Jews and sent them back to Jerusalem, where they rebuilt the temple. And that's the other fascinating thing. Um, when you read the initial story of Moses and getting the Ten Commandments, thou shalt make no graven image, no idols, none of that. So what did the Jews proceed to do? They build a temple and an Ark of the Covenant, and they got all of these graven images. That's exactly what they are. And that tradition is passed on to Christians do it. So, I mean, if you're going to be strict, you're going to follow what the scripture says. You don't build these magnificent churches. You don't adorn them with gold and silver and rubies and diamonds. You worship God without all of this, add-on. But no, the Jews built the temple and they have that, and then the Christians followed it, and then the Muslims do the same thing. So, and lots of beautiful architecture. I'm not arguing that, but I just I find it funny because it is the scripture very plainly says don't build this, don't do this, and then you get into the book of Deuteronomy in the Old Testament, and it's all about, hey, build your ark this tall and have this much gold on it, and they use this kind of wood and get this kind of, I mean, good God. And people really go, oh, this is the word of God.
Yeah. God had these, let's put it like that.
Yeah.
Larry, so just so I can get you out of here, I had another interview now. I would like just to finish talking about Europe, between the dog and the pole. How do you see Europe going down? I mean, yeah, I know Europe is irrelevant right now, but they seem to be trying to put up a very dangerous thing, an army and all that.
Yeah, well, they're a malevolent force. There's no denying that. They are certainly trying to keep the war going in Ukraine. Their problem is they don't have the economy, the economic resources to do so. They don't have the military resources to do so, and they really are dependent upon the United States in large measure for a lot of that. So they talk tough, but they're not actually able to deliver much.
Yeah, what I found very interesting about all that are the Germans. It doesn't matter where the mustache goes, here on the head or whatever, the outcome is always the same. Angela Merkel, I don't know where she puts the mustache. The outcome was always the same. It's simply amazing to watch Friedrich Merz speaking just these days about, we're probably going to war against Russia. I don't know why, but we're going to.
Well, let me ask you a question, shifting gears a little bit. Do you know this Brazilian correspondent, João Quaresma?
Yes, I know him. To brag about myself about this, but I am the one that put him in contact with Alex.
Oh,
do you want to talk with him?
Or Alexander Mercouris?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, Cristoforo, actually. I contacted Cristoforo because he asked me to put him in contact with the Duran, and I'm very glad that they invited him. It was an amazing interview. I had him in the channel a couple of times already. He made fantastic. I can send you the links to the videos. He made fantastic interviews with Ukrainian prisoners that from the Kursk region, and he just came back from. I think he's still in Moscow right now. He just came back from the front lines again for the 4th time, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. If you want to talk to him,
Well,
I can just put you
and
in
he talked
contact.
about with the naval commander, that his interviews with
Farinazzo.
Brazilian. Yeah, Farinazzo.
Yeah, exactly. He's always around the channels.
Yeah, I may want to interview him one of these days. So I'll keep that in mind now that I know that you're the connection.
That's when I built this channel, I had very, very low expectations. I'm not a reporter. I'm not at all graduated to do what I'm doing. But the idea was to build bridges. Talk to you, for example, to the guys from the Durant, from Angelo Giuliani, perhaps Brian Berlatic at some point, and start to build this community of channels that you also put a very interesting piece on Sonar 21 about Colonel Jack Bull that has been what was it, sanctioned by the EU.
Sanctioned by EU. Yeah, just crazy.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Why would you like to go out of Switzerland? It's better that than in any other European country.
Right.
But anyway, it's just crazy, this stuff.
Yeah.
So I have been building some nice connections, and well, anytime I can always give you some good Brazilian folks that I have, and also Portuguese folks that I met on the time. It's always good to have some good worldwide perspective on how things are building up around.
Sure.
Yeah. Larry, I will have to go because I have another interview.
All right.
And I will let you know that next week I'll be on travel. I'll be on transit, so it will be impossible for us to meet. I will wish you a Merry Christmas.
Okay.
In advance.
And
I will wish you on time as well.
We'll talk to you. We'll talk to you after Christmas, probably.
After Christmas, if you're around, we can have a end of the year reflective program.
Sounds good.
All right. I'll remember everybody to like, share, subscribe to this video and to this channel, and also follow Larry on sonar21.com, and follow him also on Countercurrents. Amazing content coming weekly, or even sometimes more than once a week. Larry, Merry Christmas, my good friend, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Feliz Navidad. Ciao.
Feliz Navidad. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Bye.